Hi guys, it's Thursday, it's 2 o'clock and we're going to start this, so let's go ahead and get started. What I'm actually going to do is complete some of the labs that some of you guys have already completed that I have created that are in the course. So let me go ahead and get started. The first one that we're going to do is the typing an Ftcc business letter. So I'm going to follow through with the steps of the assignment, which you guys can find in your Blackboard. As we hit things that I know are on the test, I'm going to bring those out to you. If you have a question while we hit them, let me know. I do have to keep this as a 45-minute session, and I am recording it. I'll closed caption it and post it back up for you. But I can't go further than 45 minutes because I have a child to pick up, because in the afternoons I am a bus driver. Not really. I'm a car pickup parent. Okay, so here we go. It says here on step 1, when Word 2016 opens, the recent screen appears. Click the single-spaced blank. So it's really important that you guys know the difference between your documents. You're probably used to clicking right here on blank, and what you actually want to do is click here on this specific thing, single-spaced blank. It is a difference. Okay, so we're going to say create. Now, what is the difference between that? You realize if you have students that have taken sociology or English class, or I don't know if you guys do it in the business classes or not, but the students are asked to do like a double space. What happens in Microsoft, so I'll take a second to explain this, is here, do you see how it says add space after paragraph? If I do just a standard file, let me do file and new and blank document. Okay, this one here, if I go up here, it's going to say remove space after paragraph. If I put some random text in here, all right, look at the difference between this. This here, if I say remove it, do you see how much it shrinks up, right? Remove space after paragraph. So what happens is, in the online world, Microsoft has made it where there's a 0.8 space after each paragraph, so that in between the paragraphs, so that you can view it easier online. So you need to know the difference between and how to remove that. And so if you open a regular document, if you just do file and new blank document, the space is automatically there. And you can see it will say remove space after. So if it says that, the space is there. If I were to do file and new and choose single space blank, and I come right up here, it says to add space after, so therefore the space is not there. So there's a difference in that spacing there, so make sure that you guys are aware of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, but before we really hit that, what I want to share with you guys is the overall structure of Microsoft, and I think most of you guys already know and understand this, but I'm going to hit it up really quick. Microsoft has created all of their software so that they're all similar. They all have tabs that go across the top. You see the Home tab, the Insert tab, the Draw tab. All right, did I hit record? Let me double check and make sure I hit record. I think I did. Yep, I'm sharing an application and I am recording. Okay, just checking. All right, so whenever you, when you look at Microsoft products, they all have this very similar look to them. Let me close a couple of these files out because we don't need all of these here. All right, so when you go into any Microsoft product, you're going to see the same thing. Now, when you get ready to test, a lot of times it will have leading statements in there for you. Like it might say to insert something, and so that might be a cue for you to go to the Insert tab. All right, so there's the Insert tab, the Draw tab, the Design tab, the Layout tab. So all of these tabs go across the top. And that's your first step in any process for completing any of the certification tasks, right? Underneath of that, you're going to see on each of these are called your ribbons. On your ribbon, you're going to have groupings. Here's your clipboard grouping. Beside of that is the font grouping. Beside of that is the paragraph grouping, and then your styles grouping. All right. So as we go through these assignments, what I'm going to do is share with you guys, we'll go to the Insert tab. In the Illustrations grouping, we're going to click Smartart. So that's the process I'll go through with you guys, and this way you can understand where we're going. All right, is that cool? All right, so here we are. We are in a single space document, and then the next thing that it asks us to do is to save this file. I'm not worried about saving a file. I know you guys know how to save a file, so that step I'm going to skip. Then it says that it wants us to use the moderate margins. So there are some basic pieces on the Microsoft certification test that are more basic. Okay, so I'm going to the Layout tab. I'm going to choose margins. Now, what if yours doesn't say moderate, but it says change the margins to narrow? Maybe it'll say change the margins to wide. When I tell you that a task is going to be on the certification test, I'm leading you to that area, but it may not be that specific item. So here I'm specifically asking you in this assignment to go in and change the to moderate margins. So, but you might see on your test, it might say make the margins narrow or make the margins wide, okay? All right, then the next thing it says, but the default font size is 11 in Calibri, and so we're going to use that. And then it says to use the Show Hide button. On my Home tab, in my paragraph grouping, I see this little button here. Now, when I use this button, it shows me the formatting. Every time I hit Enter, every time I hit Tab, every time I hit space, which is different than a period, right? All right, so this is going to share the formatting of this document for me. If you don't like to view the formatting, then take it away. But I will tell you there are some items on the test, and it will tell you in the line below such and such, add something. Well, you want to be able to see where that line is located. So that formatting mark is beneficial for you. All right. Then it asks us, step number 4, use the moderate margins, and then display the show hide non-printing characters. At the insertion point, type the date that you created the document. So this is going to be May 31st, 2018. All right, and then it's going to ask me to hit enter 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to create 3 blank lines for us. And so this is how you can see that formatting is in there. And on the test, it will tell you something like, in the second blank line under the date, add such and such. So you want to be able to see that where your formatting marks are. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so then the next thing that we're going to do, it says type the recipient's address. I'm not going to get this perfect because I'm not looking for perfection right here. I'm looking to teach you guys something. Let me increase this so that you guys can maybe see it a little bit better. Oh, because I'm sharing it, it's shrinking it up a little. Okay, that's fine. I was going to try to make it larger on the screen. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. The next thing that it's going to have under here is it says, and you are going to find a hyperlink question of some sort on your test. In this particular instance, I asked you to say click to email. All right, and then I ask you to put an email address in there. So I'm going to select the text click to email. I'm going to select insert. I'm going to choose to hyperlink. When I get to the hyperlink, if I were hyperlinking this to a web page, I would select here, right? But I'm not, and you can hyperlink it to a place in this document, but that's not what I want either. I want to hyperlink it with an email address. You see down here? Gives me that option. Text to display is click to email. That's good. And then I'm going to type in here the email address of who it's getting sent to. So I would put in there, it says put in Frankfurt. All right, frankfurtscully@gmail.com. Obviously, I've typed it in there before. It may also ask you to go ahead and type the subject. Then maybe this one here would be reference or whatever, because the subject will stay in there. It may ask you to add a screen tip. The biggest deal is do you know how to get to a hyperlink? Okay. Now I've proctored the test many times, and it's pretty consistent with the questions. So you probably will have a hyperlink one, but you need to know if you're hyperlinking to a web page that you click here. If you're hyperlinking to an email address, you click here. and you type the email address in, right? Here is your text to display. And if it asks you for a screen tip, the screen tip's in the top right, and the screen tip would be something, they will tell you the exact words to put in there. This one might be email, Miss Scully. All right. So is there any questions about creating a hyperlink in there like that? Are you guys cool with that? Okay. All right. So now check this out. After this, it's going to ask you to type the body of the letter. And I'm not going to worry about typing the body of the letter in here because we all know that I can type. But what's important here is it asks us to add a bulleted list here. So in here, and you'll see this on your task. In here, I'm going to add this bulleted list. I'm just going to put it right here. Responsible, intelligent, understands instructions. I'm going to stop there because that'll be enough for us to do bulleted list with, okay? So now you've got to be cautious because on the test, it might say find the bulleted list, and you might see this. This is not a bulleted list. This is a numbered list. So you would not change this because this is a numbered list. If it were to tell you something like find the bulleted list and change the bullet, then you would be looking for this. Make sure you know that numbers are the numbered list and bullets are the bulleted list, okay? You will see that on there. So it'll say something like change. So this one here, I ask you guys to create your own bullets. All right, so I'll take these bullets off. Let me take them off. And I'm going to assign it its own bullet. And in this instance here, I ask you guys to use the diamond. And that might be what you get asked, or maybe you're going to get asked to create a picture, which is probably what you're going to see. So let me share this with you. When you select this little down arrow, it gives you the option of recently used bullets, the bullets from the library, the default, or define a new bullet. This is important. Make sure that you know that you can define a new bullet, whether you're coming from a. Now, if I were going to create it from a symbol, which is what I told you guys to do on here, a lot of times it will give you the character code. Do you see the character code down here at the bottom? So often it will give you the character code and it will say, use the character code of, I don't know what I have in this one, 168. You can type in there 168 and it will find it for you. Use the character code of 168. Use the diamond and say, okay, and now my bullets are diamonds, right? Okay, now, what if it tells you to use a picture? Because you're probably going to see that. My guess is you will. Okay, so use the down arrow, define a new bullet, say that you would like a picture. It will give you a file to choose the picture from. It will say from your My Pictures, choose the check mark, or whatever the picture is. I want to say work offline. Okay. I should have some kind of a picture in here that I could select very quickly. Okay. You select your picture and say insert and okay, and now you have changed your bullets to a picture. Any problems with being able to change a bullet? Update a bullet? Any problems with that? We're cool with that? All right. The next thing that it has on this particular assignment, and this is yet another test question, all right, it's going to say, let's see here, insert a table. Okay, so this one here asks you to insert a table. And your table might be like an 8x4 table or whatever it is. So we're going to go to the Insert tab and choose Table. This table in particular says just to do a 2x2. But I'm going to tell you a secret. They're going to have you create it and then make some modifications. So as long as you know how to modify it, then you'll be good. Okay? Now, when I create this table, I just made myself a 2x2 table. What it's going to do is it's going to bring me these extra tabs at the top. It's my table tools. Do you see those? All right, so if I'm going to use these table tools right here, I have one that says design and one that says layout. guys, I'm going to promise you right now, you're going to have at least 6 questions or more on tables. So the first thing that it's going to, some of the things that you will see, and I've taken this test, like I said, a couple of times, but the things that you're going to see from tables are this: everything. Everything. You're going to see everything on it. So let me put a little bit of text in here. This says location. Oh, I have you do a 2x2, and then I have you insert a row. You know how to insert a row? Inserting between, you come right here and use this little plus. That is, we're reconnecting. There we go. One of the easiest ways to do that is to go to your layout tab and say insert above. Now I've got another row, okay? If it says that to add a row in between, then use this little plus them up. That's going to be the easiest way to do that. So here, let me type in here, location, phone number, main campus. Okay, there's the number there, Fort Bragg, and there's the number there. Okay, so, you know that's not a real number, but that's cool because I just needed some content in there because what I want to show you is the formatting. What if it tells you to make a header row? All right, this is our header. Row 1 is our header row, okay? So if row 1 is our header row, if you're not exactly sure of how to do that, look on the design or the layout tabs and find something that says that, okay? So here, this says header row, okay? So it's already identifying that as my header row. You can also go into your properties. You can right-click and do table properties. And this is the way that I would recommend you do it. It's the same thing that you do whenever you make a table ADA compliant, is to repeat as header row. Okay? So there we go. There's no question that this is our header row. Okay? Now, you're going to be asked to place a table style onto something. Okay, it'll give you the specific style. Maybe it is, you know, grid table 4. Okay, maybe it's grid table 4 accent 1. As long as you know how to place a table style on there, you'll be good. Okay, it may also ask if you can auto fit this. You know, there are auto fit contents. Okay, so it's going to auto fit to the contents. It may ask you to auto fit it to window. Okay, it may ask you to make it a fixed column width. All right, so it will tell you what it wants. Now, today when I tested, it told me that it wanted, let me make it back here, and let me make these different sizes just so that you can see the difference. Today, specifically when I tested, it said take your table and distribute the rows evenly. Here we go. Distribute the rows, or distribute the columns evenly. So here we go, distribute columns. Now my columns are the same width. Did you see how the width changed? So there's your distribute columns, here's your distribute rows, and here are the other pieces that you will probably see on the test. Okay, auto fit to contents, auto fit to window, or fixed column width. All right. Another thing that you'll probably see with the table is this. Let me hit tab. Okay. Maybe I'm going to say information updated 2018. It might ask you to merge and center, or just to simply merge your last row. So I'll select both cells, and I will come up here on my layout tab for my table tools and say to merge it, and now it's merged together. All right, cool deal. If you've got questions, go on and type them in, because I want to make sure. Iris is good. Iris understands tables, so she's good with that. How about you guys? Are you good with tables? Because you're going to get asked a lot about tables. You're going to have to put on a design. You may have to do borders or shading. You might have to adjust the fit. You might have to split the table. As long as you realize that these options are here, you'll do fine with the table. Guess what else I've seen on the last test I took? Here we go. Convert it to text. Convert the table to text. Okay, that's cool. And you usually use the default, or it'll tell you, and now it's in text. Okay, so you'll see quite a bit of that on your testing. All right. All right. So it asks you to continue typing on here. Add the closing of sincerely, and then it asks you to go back and format this table. Kind of played around with, but that's what you guys need to be able to know. Very first assignment, you need to know your spacing. What if right now it were to tell me, do it again? Yeah, sure. My one that I'm viewing says it's trying to reconnect. So let me make sure we're connected. Okay, here we go. So the other thing I was going to mention is this. It might ask you, because I went over, the spacing, right? The spacing of the document, but it might say, select the whole document and change your spacing to double space. You guys do know to select your whole document, it's a Control A, right? Control All, A for all. Then you go up to your home tab, your paragraph grouping. If it says change it to 1.15, there you are. If it says find the document, or use the document provided and remove spacing in the whole paragraph or in the whole document. Control A, paragraph grouping, remove space after paragraph. See, now you can really see the significance of that, can't you? Makes a big difference. So what if it says select the whole document, Control A, change the spacing to double. Select the whole document, Control A, change the spacing to add space after the paragraph, right? I think you guys got that. You are not going to be asked probably to bold, italics, or underline if that's what you're thinking. So don't think that the tasks are quite that simple, but they're not bad. Okay, Kelly said, can you do that again with the table? So what I'm going to do is select this text here. Let's just start all over with the table so we can make sure everyone's got it. Let's insert a table, insert tab, table. If it tells me to insert a 2x2, got it, 2x2 table. All right, and this one is going on to 2 pages. I'd like to have it all together though. All right, so I got a 2x2 table, and I put text in there, whatever text it says. Right? If it tells me to add a row above the first row, select your first row, go to your layout tab, and say insert above. That's the easiest way to do it. If it says to repeat the header rows, you can choose to right-click, table properties. And the only reason why I'm sharing this one with you, repeat as the header row, is because that's how you guys were taught for ADA. Although you see it's also right here on my layout tab on the far right, repeat header rows. But I got to select it and then tell it that it's a header row. All right, another thing that you're probably going to see on there is merging a cell. Turn this off. Select your cells, go to your table tools. You're going to choose the design. No, you're not. You're going to choose layout and merge cells. So now we've added a row. What if you have to add a row in the middle? Click the plus and off, right? So we've added a row, we've merged and centered. You're going to be asked to add a table style. So you'll select whatever. And when you lay your mouse over, you'll get your Smart Tooltips, right? So it's going to tell me which one this is. If it says add, grid table 2, accent 5, Here's accent 5, here's accent 4, right? So you can see how those progress. All right, let's say that it says on your table, add alternate text, right? I didn't mention this one a second ago. I just remembered it. Adding alternate text. We've done this already. If you got ready for some ABA stuff, if you're a faculty member. So I can right-click, table properties, alt text. That's where we're going to put our alt text. So it'll tell you what to type in there. And another thing is, you can copy and paste from the questions. So if you're nervous and you're concerned that you're going to misspell this word, and the bottom of the screen is your questions, you can go down there. You can Control-C to copy and come up here and Control-V to put that in there. This way you make sure you put it in properly, right? All right, what if it tells you to auto-fit to your contents? Auto-fit to your contents. What if it tells you to auto-fit to the window? What if it tells you to distribute the rows evenly or distribute the columns evenly? As long as you have it selected, it will do that for you. All right? If it tells you to, I want to undo that because now it's looking real ugly. If it tells you to convert it to text, select your table. On the Layout tab, on the far right, choose Convert to Text. It'll tell you if it's paragraph or commas or tabs. If not, you leave it as the default, and now it's no longer a table, it's just text. All right, cool, y'all? All right, so far we've gone over tables pretty good. Honestly, I'm telling you guys, if you're going to get quite a few questions on tables, as long as you know what's on these two tabs here, this design tab and this layout tab, you're going to have your tables. All right. I've seen it convert to text. Everything that I've shared with you guys just now is every test question that I've seen on the test for tables. All right. So as long as you know these two tabs here and where to go, the only other place you're going to have to go is possibly right-click, table properties, and you very well might have to put that alt text title in there. That was on my test today. Okay? All right, so cool deal with that. So far we've gone over really spacing and tables and bullets. You guys are going to see all of those on there. Any questions about the spacing, tables, and bullets? We're good with that? You guys think you're good? So what those files are that I created for you guys is word assignments. What they do is they help guide you through the steps. One, because the more you work in it, the more confident you feel. And two, I promise you that stuff that you saw in that very first one is something you're going to see on your test. Okay? Cool deal. I'm going to go to another new blank document. And let's look at some of the steps that are in the athletics flyer assignment. All right, so we're going to move on to this one. And this one here, it asks you to go in and type a bunch of text and hit enter. But I'm going to tell you what you really need to know from this one. Some of these it will say, change the font size and the font itself. Okay. I'm going to do this quickly because I want to make sure you guys get the tasks. I'm not so much worried about, you being able to complete these lab assignments because they're not graded anyway. They're just to help you go through. But I want to make sure you guys know. So if you were to go through this athletics flyer, let's actually type one of them in there. So here it says Ftcc athletics. All right. You might get a question that says, change this font to uppercase. If you backspace this out and retype it uppercase, you don't earn the credit because it's about learning how to use the software properly. So there is a button for that. If you guys have not used the button, all right, I'm going to select my text here, and underneath of on your home tab, in your font grouping, there's this button right here. It's called your change case button. Okay? The change case button will allow me to change it to sentence case. It'll allow me to change it to lowercase. It will allow me to change it to uppercase or to capitalize each word. Okay? So this here is your change case button. So if it were to tell you to change everything to uppercase or lowercase, that's your change case button. And the second assignment here, it has you do a lot of colors, and you will see one or two questions. There's not a lot though. I'm gonna share with you, and I don't know that it's in this assignment specifically at the beginning. This is what you're gonna see. You ready for this? It's gonna ask you to change the font. This right here. This is called your text effect. And you probably, maybe you've never even used that before. Don't get the text effects confused with your insert and, where's my word art? Word art. Okay? While they are very similar, the difference is when I choose word art, it's going to say type your text here, and it adds it as a separate graphic. Okay? If this here says Ftcc Athletics, and it says select the text Ftcc Athletics and put the text effect of gradient fill blue accent color 5 reflection, if you make your way to the word art, which is where you're going to think you need to go, that's not where you want to be. Make sure that you understand this button is here. It's called your text effects. You will see it. And choose the text effect that they tell you to place on it. Okay? Another thing that you're going to see, that's a horrible example, but all right. So another thing that you're going to see, it's going to ask you on your test to take the time and use the highlighter tool and highlight behind something. Okay, so here is my highlighter, my text highlight color. So here I could choose, do I want it to be green? Do I want it to be blue? Whatever it tells me to choose, right? And I'm going to put a background color on it. Now, if I'm going to go off script a little bit. I'm not going to hit up this next little piece here, but I am going to do the Smartart at the end because you will have a Smartart. So I'm going to get the Smartart that's on this one. I've got Ftcc Athletics there. I'm going to insert a picture. This is another piece that you'll see on there. All right. I've got my picture in here. In order to format my picture, I've got to come to the top and use my picture tools. There are a lot of questions on there about pictures, okay? It's going to have you add a picture style to something. You know where to get your picture styles from, right? You select your picture, you go to your picture tools, and here are your picture styles. One of the most important buttons that you guys may have never used before, and I placed it in one of these assignments or I added it as an extra, you'll see it multiple times right here. This is your Align button. It's going to ask you to make a modification to something, and then it might say to center it. Okay, that's cool. There's your center button. All right. There's my text. I can hit center. That's cool. Now, there's a big difference between centering something and aligning it. If I have this picture and it says to center align it, that doesn't mean to hit the center button. It might say align it to the bottom of the page. If it says align it to the bottom of the page, that doesn't mean hit enter until you see the bottom of the page. All right? It means align it to the bottom of the page. In that instance, I'm going to select my image, on my Format tab, I have an Align button. This alignment right here, it's going to ask me, okay, so I've got flipping. Where's my, oh, here, align. Do I want to align it to the page? Okay, so this isn't the best example, but you're going to see this. It might tell you align it to the bottom of the page, align it to the top of the page. So you need to know where this is. It might say align it left, align it right, align it center. So this particular item here, it's just not created properly so that we can use those options. But please notice Align button is here. If it says to center your text, okay, no problem. Home tab, paragraph grouping, center button, okay? But if it says align to the bottom of the page or center align the image, that's on your Format tab. That's your Align button, okay? All right. The next thing that I want to share with you guys, and it's in this assignment here, is adding Smartart. You're going to have to add a Smartart, or you're going to have to modify a Smartart. So I need to make sure that you know what a Smartart is. You need to know how the different options for modifying it, okay? So let's check this out. I'm going to the Insert tab. Let me get a new line going on here. Insert tab, Smartart button. Insert tab and Smartart button. It will specifically tell you, the test will tell you what Smartart to add in there. Are you going to add a list Smartart, a cycle Smartart? It will tell you. For example, it might say, if we're doing a list one, it might say, insert a list Smartart for horizontal bullet list. So list Smartart of horizontal bullet list. It will specifically tell you which one, okay? Now, once you add it in there, I'm going to add this one instead. It will tell you text to type in there. Okay, to type your text in, you just simply click and type. Okay? So we've got that in there. Now, it's going to ask you to make modifications. And I'm going to tell you the modifications that I've seen and done already, which are probably something similar to what you will get. I'm going to have to first select my Smartart. If I wasn't asked to insert it already, and it's already there, then you simply select it. If I'm asked to move Cheryl's name down, I select Cheryl's box, the Smartart piece that has her name in it, and say move down. Do you see the move down? Now I get a move up. So you will probably be asked to move something up or down in the text. You may even be asked to add another shape in there. And then move it up or move it down. You may be asked to change the color. You might be asked to place a style on it. So that's why the Smartart that is in the second assignment, this Ftcc Athletics, that's why you've got so many items in there for it. I don't think you're asked to change the shape or the fill color or anything like that, but you may be asked here to change the position to center it. Maybe you need to left align it or to right align it. Okay, and here's this align button again. Align it to page, align it to margin. Just be really careful when you're reading the words. Is it asking you to center or is it asking you to align? Because there is a difference. All right, so that's the basics really of adding your Smartart. You're going to need to probably add some Smartart. So it's insert and Smartart. It will tell you exactly which one to select. Maybe we're doing the cycle one, text cycle. Okay. It will probably ask you to move something right or left, move something up or down. All right. To change the colors, to change the style, to add text. Okay, are we cool with that? Do you guys feel like you can do that with a Smartart? All right. That's the biggest things that I wanted to go over today, which were the most everything that we've gone over today. You'll find in those very first two lab assignments, the Ftcc athletics and the recommendation letter. So before I close out of this today, who has a question about, now I'm going to do this again next Thursday, and next Thursday I'm going to hit up the other set of tasks that I think are the most important to you guys. Today we did spacing, single space, double space, selecting all, Control A, changing your spacing, removing spacing after, adding spacing. All right. We made sure that we knew how to center something in the paragraph grouping. We also made sure that we were well aware if we have an item and it tells us to align, to use the Format tab and use the Align option. We learned how to insert a Smartart, how to make modifications to a Smartart, how to insert a table and make modifications to a table. We also hit home the margins. Let me share one last thing with you guys before I close it out today. This is something that's important for you. When you add formatting into your documents, like let's say on this document here, I decide that I want to insert a page break. You're probably going to see that. Do you know how to insert a page break? All right, so I want to show my formatting. Because let's say that the question says, in the space under Ftcc athletics, add a page break. All right, if that's the case, I need to use the show hide so I can find that space. I'll click there. To insert a page break is insert page break. But guess what? If I'm not showing this show hide, I won't see that page break. I don't know where that page break is. Where is it? Because I don't know, right? I don't know where that page break is located. But if I come back here and turn on my show hide, I'm going to look for the words that say page break. Here we go. You might have something that says, after the page break, make a modification to the margins on the next page. Under the section break, all right, you can also add section breaks. That gets a little bit more involved. You're probably not, I'm like 100% certain you're not going to have to insert a section break. But you need to know how to find that section break, because I've seen multiple questions on the test that will tell you under the section break, add such and such or change such and such. Well, if you don't know that by clicking on this show hide button, that it tells you where your page break is, or it tells you where your section break is, you'll never find that page break or section break. So hopefully that would be helpful. Kelly asked earlier, and I missed it, but she said, how did you add another text? And I think she's asking to the Smartart, how did I add another one? So it doesn't matter which Smartart you have. When you select it and you go into the Design tab, on the left-hand side, it will say Add Shape. And that gives you another shape so that you can add another text. And I think that's what you're asking about. And it doesn't matter which Smartart you have, if you've got this Smartart or that one, you add another shape, and it will give you a blank spot, and then you can add your text in there. I think that's what you're asking. All right. All right, so you guys know how to find a page break if you need to, but know it's the same process if you're trying to find a section break, okay? Right? So that show hide button is going to come in handy for you. We also went under the layout. We talked about margins. All right, narrow margins, moderate margins, wide margins. Orientation. You're going to see on there, it's going to ask you probably change the orientation to landscape. All right, portrait or landscape. Think of it this way. Portrait's like your family portraits, usually up and down, right? And landscape is sideways, like you're going to plant something. So portrait and landscape are right there. All right. And then here we see this align button again. Just remember, anytime it says align, align center, align whatever, you find that align button. Okay. All right. Who's got a question so far? I feel pretty confident that if you can do what we went over today, that you can pass at least half of the test. And then next Thursday, so if you want to work between now and next Thursday, you want to work a little bit on the lab assignments. So if you're thinking, gosh, like these lab assignments aren't helpful at all because she's telling me everything that's on the test. Yeah, but if you don't try to practice and all you do is look at what I'm telling you is probably going to be on there, then you may not have all the skills that you need in order to be successful. So I would recommend if you created a Linda account, put it on your cell phone while you're waiting in the line at Burger King or for a student to show up or, you know, to pick up your children. Hit one of those videos and watch them. It will really, really help. Next week, some of the things that I'm going to go over is inserting text from other files. You'll definitely see that on there. So we'll go over that and a few other things next week. I promise you that those tips that I've been giving you guys have been test questions. So if you don't know how to do those tips, I'll follow up with those tips next week at the end of the session. All right. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you can do the steps I shared with you guys today, you're halfway there. So if you were feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but would I just totally ignore these lab assignments? No, because it's going to still give you more help. It's going to give you the steps that you need. It's going to give you some guidance. Next week I'll do inserting text, creating tabs, and some other things. I'll let you guys know. I'll make sure that I cover everything else that I think is important that you guys will need. Any questions about what we went over today? Type it into the chat. I'm going to stop this recording.